All right, and welcome to Hat-Trick Sports Talk, our Week 5 Sunday post show. Here with me, as always, is Shane. How are you doing today, man?
Doing well. How you doing?
Good. Brandon will be joining us shortly, more likely than not, but we're going to get started and then he'll hop in. But before we get into the NFL action, which there were plenty of storylines to get to, we're going to start with the NBA Finals as the Lakers win their 17th title. Shane, your reaction to the Lakers win?
It seems like the ending of a fairy tale more than anything.
Yes, it does.
Just based off of everything that's happened this year. Obviously, with Kobe passing away, kind of like
Mm-hmm.
which kind of seems to be like the bad event that kicked off 2020's year of just
I would say
of
so. Yeah.
of of terrible
Horror.
things.
No, of
Yeah,
horror. This is a horror year, if anything
yeah.
else.
And then it just seems kind of fitting that they came around and won it all in the end. And
Mhm.
um, but I mean, it just goes to show, I think, how dangerous LeBron James can still be in a
Mm-hmm.
in a good roster with guys like AD, and then of course Dwight Howard stepping up, Rondo, whatever else, and all the new guys as well. While they weren't always there, you know, performing their best all the time, I think in the end, they all showed up when it counted, and
Mm-hmm.
then now they have a ring. So
Yeah.
yeah,
I will say this, regardless if you like the Lakers or not, and all you Lakers fans on Twitter, what have you been doing the last few days? Kyle Kuzma shouldn't get a ring and all this stuff. It's been crazy. Lakers fans have overreacted to a lot throughout this playoffs. That's for sure, but I can understand that. But yeah, it really seems like a fitting end to a season. With the bubble and all that, which we'll get to. So here's an amazing stat that I think we just saw
hmm.
from StatMuse on Twitter. So Kobe in the 2009 playoffs, and then LeBron in this year's playoffs. Kobe beat the Rockets in the second round. LeBron beat the Rockets in the second round. Kobe beat the Nuggets in the conference finals. LeBron also beat the Nuggets in the conference finals, and they both won their fourth ring in the same city. In Orlando, Florida. Of course, Kobe in that year won MVP. LeBron also won the MVP this year, or the Finals MVP. But also, it is interesting because Kobe did go up against Dwight Howard in that series, and now Dwight also has a ring after everything that he's been through over the last few years. Him kind of finally fitting into a role there in LA, finally, and getting himself a ring, saying kind of never give up on yourself, kind of thing. So it's somehow poetic, Shane, don't you think? That this is how it ended?
Yeah, I'd say. I mean, just seeing how so much came full circle. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's still kind of crazy.
Yeah. And let's well, before we move on to the actual bubble and all those aspects, the Heat, um, an incredible year. Um, I feel like not only is Jimmy Butler finally getting his due as not a dysfunctional player, but an actual player that can help a team win a championship. And then you look at Miami, there's got to be some players out there, some top quality players, maybe Giannis, maybe who knows, who got to look at Miami and go, this is a premier destination for a title contender for the next, I would say, 3 to 4 years. Don't you agree?
Yeah, I'd say they're one piece away from you know being a legit title contender. Not that they weren't this year, obviously, but um, yeah, whether it's a Giannis or um,
Who
I don't
knows
know
who else?
who else would be in free agency, but um, yeah, I mean, I think we were kind of expecting them to. I think at the beginning of the year we were saying they would maybe be like a 7 or 8 seed, but and then
We
here
didn't
they
know how
are.
Jimmy Butler would fit with this group, right? We didn't know, and it
Yeah,
felt like just Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo had his breakout year. And I think that was a huge thing as well. And then to see young guys like Duncan Robinson, Tyler Hero, Kendrick Nunn even was pretty good in some of these finals games. Just these really, really young players step up and kind of create an identity, especially around Eric Spoelstra, who really works with these kind of teams.
Yeah. But, it all worked out because they got to the finals. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Much more than anyone expected, but now the expectations are raised whenever we start next year.
Yeah, of course.
In terms of the bubble, the NBA, I mean, the NHL, we already talked about their bubble, and it was definitely really successful, even though it was somehow a little bit more weird when it comes to hockey. But your perspective on how the NBA bubble and everyone involved to make this bubble happen, your perspective on how it ended up.
Yeah, I think it was the best scenario of a bad situation. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because you look at like the NFL or MLB, and they, at least in the season, haven't had bubbles. And so there's been this risk of virus outbreaks, like from the Marlins or from the Titans, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
And it just shows that a bubble, while it's a bit of a pain logistically, and
Mm-hmm.
it's tough on players having to be
Paul
kind of
George is a
isolated.
perfect example. Then they
Right.
didn't let the families come in until the semis, so
Mm-hmm.
it was about a month and a half before the families could come in. And even guys like LeBron said, "There's nothing for them to do here, so why would I bring them along?" All these kind of things.
Yeah. So, stuff like that. I mean, it's obviously a lot safer to do that because,
Mm-hmm.
you don't have any outbreaks, but
It showed
um,
itself with these two. I mean, the MLS had their own separate outbreaks, but at least with the NHL and the NBA, it felt like it went really smoothly.
yeah. So, it's good for that reason, but when it comes to players' mental health and well-being, um, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like it's um, gonna affect them forever, but
Mm-hmm.
during the time, it's like, that was probably hard, undoubtedly.
Think about the uniqueness of this season. We remember at the beginning of the year, we were very excited for it. We felt there was so much parity involved. And of course, Kobe dying, David Stern. This is a hard year on NBA fans all over.
It
So
was
that
a
kind of,
strange one, to say the least.
yeah. So go back to that in March 12th with Rudy Gobert and of course Donovan Mitchell. And obviously there were other positive cases like Russell Westbrook. So some definitely big name stars, but
AD.
yeah. Yeah, KD as well. It's there's something so I don't know. Again, I think poetic's the perfect word because it really felt poetic in the worst way, but also the best way in like the sense that the bubble, for these players, and I recommend everyone to go watch ESPN with Matisse Thybulle did a really great like 3-minute feature of like the brotherhood of the bubble and he explains like what we all kind of learned from that being in that experience for as long as he was, which was about a month or two. But there's something amazing for these teams like Miami and like LA and pretty much everyone, like even Phoenix, who got on that huge run and didn't make the playoffs unfortunately, but won all 7 games before the playoffs.
Yeah.
The camaraderie between these teams, the bonds between these teams was amazing because this is one of the first years where you really look at teammate chemistry and go, oh yeah, because they're around each other all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And there's just something so cool because it ends up being like a brotherhood for a lot of these guys, more so than it would be in the regular season.
Right. That is the one good thing about it, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're close as a team, that works in your favor, obviously. But then if you're like a Philadelphia, and there's tension,
Yeah.
then it's bad.
Mm-hmm.
But
But I mean, and even for the players, like I know Kemba Walker was talking about this to Taylor Brooks, or Taylor Brooks earlier in the bubble, like right at the beginning of like, how about for a guy like LeBron James, right? When he goes out, right, and goes to dinner, with a hot shot or whatever, like deciding HBO shows or whatever he might be doing, you get noticed. I mean, you do. You get noticed in LA, and people know who you are, and then you come into the bubble, and guess what? Guys like Kemba Walker, guys like Jason Tatum, guys like Damian Lillard, Devin Booker, hey, they see you when they play you, and they don't think of you as this like
Celebrity.
they do think of you as that larger than life player, of course, with LeBron, but it's not like in his face all the time. Like, it's just easier for
Right.
these players because they know what they're doing. Like, they see each other all the time. So I thought that was interesting from an individual perspective, with what Kemba said there at the beginning of the bubble.
Right. Yeah, that's a good way to think of it too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, I think my overall thoughts is, I don't know when next season's gonna start. The reality is I don't care because
At least we got through this season.
I don't care, and here's why I don't care. I don't care because like I want the schedule to somehow get back to normal. You know, I don't want to have this be the norm. It seems like a little bit much to have the NBA finals in October. But you know, hopefully we can get back to the season actually starting in late October or early November. But I'm good because I don't think I've ever seen a basketball season in maybe over a decade that I've had more fun with, but also more emotion with.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I think the main thing is that it's poetic in a bad way, but also poetic in a really beautiful way, ultimately.
Yeah. And it's like I mean, like I said, it's like the ending to a movie.
Yeah.
You know? I don't know, it's weird. But you know, things happen like that in life sometimes, and this is one of those times.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Yep.
Let's go on to the NFL. We have to begin by giving an appreciation to someone that I think you, Shane, I think Brandon as well, thought that this guy would never step onto a football field again. I always thought that he would, but to see it happen, honestly, made me cry and made me clap and be happy. And that's Alex Smith, for him to play, and for Ron Rivera to give him the full game when Kyle Allen was available, for him to give him the game and take the hits that he took. Props to Alex Smith after a horrific injury to come back and work so hard for 2 years with his family by his side, his friends and doctors, medical team, whatever, and Ron Rivera giving him a shot, especially considering his big contract to play.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it was at a point where like this offseason, I forgot that he was even in the league.
Yeah.
You know, we were talking about that on the show, and I was like, oh, that's right, Alex Smith is still in it. Well, you know, Haskins or whatever, they're the guys for now. But then, yeah, I remember you told, because I wasn't watching that game, but you text us and said
He's in.
Alex Smith is in the game, and I was like, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you know, that's like, he's somebody that I feel really bad for his whole NFL career, because he goes to San Francisco, he gets into a couple AFC titles. Colin Kaepernick comes into town. Smith gets the boot, goes to Kansas City, does pretty well there, goes to a few playoffs. Patrick Mahomes comes into town. Alex Smith gets the boot.
And then, by the way, can I also say this? Can I also say this before you move on to the next part?
Yeah.
Alex Smith was critical to Patrick Mahomes' development because he was one of the few guys who was like, I'm going to help you along.
And,
you know,
and Kaepernick, I feel like.
To some degree, but I think more so Mahomes was more in your face. Like that was more, it was very common for them to sit next to each other in training camp and all that. But please continue with that as well.
Well, yeah, I mean, that was, you know, I feel bad for the guy because he's such I think he's a really good player.
Mm-hmm.
I always have. Yet he was never really like a franchise guy because he was just always kind of
going around, of course, Washington as well.
Like he was the franchise guy, but then some new guy comes in, and then it's like, Alex Smith, who's that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so then, yeah, seeing him after all the injuries and thinking he was never even going to play again, and then seeing him go into the game and just play, even though he didn't do great. I mean, it was just still, it was cool to see that.
Mm-hmm.
Just seeing that he was given a chance like that
Mm-hmm.
over Allen, who seemed like the clear, starter for Ron Rivera.
And he will be next week, it seems like, but still a
Probably,
great moment.
yeah,
Um, his family, and he was talking about on the broadcast how he did it for his kids and he wanted to play, and it was also really good to see him get hit by Aaron Donald. I never thought I would say that, but him kind of getting, holding Aaron Donald on his shoulders as he falls down, and to see him get up and it feel normal like any other quarterback would. And he got beat up today. I mean, he got hit a lot in that game. But
yeah,
I'm probably never gonna say this again. But it was good to actually just see him take a hit, because he never took a hit in practice. You know what I'm saying? He never took a hit all
right.
off season.
But he was fine,
He was fine. Yeah.
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 Yeah, honestly, I kind of wish he would just get the start going forward, but
Mm-hmm.
while he's still around, but
Mm-hmm.
I'll take what we can get.
Regardless of what happens in 2020 this season, do you agree that Alex Smith should win Comeback Player of the Year?
If he keeps playing?
No. If it's this game, he's the backup, he gets this game, do you think he deserves Comeback Player of the Year? Considering his story and everything,
Yeah.
I think we just to me, I think we give him the award tomorrow, and that's it.
Well, yes. I mean, I think you at least need to consider him. I mean, if it's not him, it's probably going to be Cam Newton.
Yeah.
Since he's more of a lasting guy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I could see it being Andy Dalton too.
Yeah.
If he ends up playing really well.
We'll get to the Cowboys in a bit, but yeah, those are definitely a couple of nominees for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But I really feel like, regardless of, I know it will be weird in the course of history to see, 2020 Alex Smith, what did he do? He only played one game and he got Comeback Player of the Year. What? No, there's a reason behind it. I'm in the camp that he deserves Comeback Player of the Year regardless of what happens.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's fair to at least consider him.
I mean, also part of your hesitation is that we are so early in the season as well.
Well, yeah,
that there might not be a clear-cut candidate.
No, not yet, at least.
Yeah,
but yeah,
we'll see.
We will.
Moving on to the Seahawks and the Vikings. What a heart-stopping game. First,
I need a blood pressure machine every time the Seahawks play, dude.
Yeah, so that's my first thing. Why is it that legit, it feels like every primetime game the Seahawks play, or at least there's 2 to 4 a year, where it's just what the heck is happening? Why
primetime game? It's literally every game they play. I'm like, oh my god, what's gonna happen?
But speak on particularly for these national TV games, the roller coaster of emotions, and why this always, even when Russell Wilson started in 2012, it's just a constant thing every year.
Mm-hmm. I think part of it is that, especially Sunday night, the pressure's on. Everyone, you get this feeling that everyone's watching you. It's the big game. And so I think part of it is, it gets to you a little bit in the head. It's this feeling yeah, we got to be on it tonight, whatever. Or it could be the opposite effect where, they came into it and they're like, oh, Vikings? Oh, they're 1-3. We're at home. Yeah, we'll be fine. You know what I mean? And they just kind of not slack off, but they don't treat it like it's some big important game. You know what I mean?
Do you feel like that's a common thread for these primetime games?
For Seattle,
Yeah. Is that it?
I think that's honestly part of it, because if you look at them, not just this year, but in any year, they always seem to struggle against teams that suck, or not suck, but just
But are like, let's
teams
say
that are worse.
let's say
say
this
that.
top 15 and below, and then the NFC West. Is that fair
Right.
after the Dolphins game? Which again, we'll
Yeah.
get to the Dolphins winning today
But
as
then
well.
but then you put them against a team like I don't know.
I don't Kansas City, maybe
Yeah,
Baltimore.
yeah. Like what was it? 3 years ago now. What Patrick Mahomes MVP year? They played. Seahawks were 10-6 that year. They were like, I think they were like 9-5 at the time.
Yeah,
Not or 9-6.
something like that. It was later in the year. It was
Yeah,
like
they were
14.
8-6.
It was like week 14, wasn't it, or something like that? 13.
Yeah, because they were 8-6, and then here's the Chiefs at like whatever 11-3, and then it wasn't even close, and Seahawks just blew them away. I was like, or the game couple year before that when Carson Wentz won the MVP, or almost won the MVP.
He should have won the MVP.
I know.
Why did Tom Brady win the MVP? I will keep talking about this forever.
Tom Brady.
Because Tom Brady played a full schedule. Oh my God!
He played a full season.
If we ever do, we should have this segment called Past Rants, where we talk about years past and talk about rants that we had. Carson Wentz should win the MVP that year. Anyway,
so then that year when Wentz was still playing, Seahawks beat the Eagles like 31-10 or something.
That was Sunday night too, amazingly.
Yeah, and so was the Chiefs game. That was also Sunday night. That's what I mean. Like these games that they should not win, that are they like struggle to beat the freaking Dolphins, and then here they are, just demolishing Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. It's like, oh yeah, okay,
this makes sense. Again. Last week we talked about the Vikings case study, right? I called it the Vikings. It's like a
very interesting team.
No, hang on. It's like I'm treating this like I'm a science guide. Like I'm blowing
You are.
Like I'm like a scientist. You
got fizzy hair,
Oh yeah. This is the quarantine cut that needs to get cut. No,
yeah,
but like,
right.
but it's like I'm the scientist and the mathematician, which I'm not. I suck at both of those things.
I do too.
But case study wise, the comparison between this game and the game against Houston is night and day. So listen, so the Vikings now are going to play the rest of the season having two mindsets, and these two mindsets are going to be completely based on the team that they play, and it probably will be successful, but I can't believe it took them 3 years to figure it out with Kirk Cousins or 2, whatever. So Houston game, we're talking about, the running game opens up the pass game, Adam Thielen, Justin Jefferson, whatever. We went on and on about that.
Yeah.
Tonight, they are like, you know what we're going to do? We're going to do the Tom Brady method and just like, don't let Russell Wilson have the ball at all. Time of possession, don't give them plays. And
I think that was, sorry to cut you off, but I think that if they were to win, that probably would have been why.
Right. And you can make an argument.
The clock,
And you could make the argument that they should have won for one particular reason, and we'll get to that reason.
Okay.
The case study is different because it's like, Dalvin Cook. And we're just going to run with Dalvin Cook. Don't let Russell get the ball, and we're going to pass it every once in a while. So I'm like, oh, God, they don't really have an offensive identity. They just have an identity based on who they play. That's not really a Super Bowl winning method. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. Are they going to win a Super Bowl playing with a different method every week?
No.
No, they're not.
The weird thing about the Vikings is like, I don't think any of the pieces they have there on offense are really that bad.
No,
I
it's
think
actually really good.
I think Kirk
It's
Cousins is
really
actually
good.
pretty good. I think Adam Thielen, pretty good. Dalvin Cook, top 3 running back.
Justin Jefferson, breakout player.
Yeah. Do I think they work well together? Eh.
What do you mean by they don't work well together? What kind of sets you
Well,
off
I
this
just
week
don't.
with that?
I think Cousins. I think he would be great in like a Sean McVay, Kyle
Mm-hmm.
Shanahan type of system. He would be a
We've talked
top
about
5
that for
quarterback in
years.
the NFL.
We talked about this for years. Yes.
Yeah.
But
And
why is that? Why do you think that is?
because Cousins, to me, I think if you look at Minnesota,
And Brandon is joining us. Welcome in. Go
yeah,
ahead. Finish your point, Shane.
because Cousins is not he's not like a deep ball guy. You know what I mean? He's someone who just kind of likes to control the field, does the short passes here and there, a few medium ones, just kind of controls the ball, controls the game, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly the kind of guy that works well in a really creative system like Kyle Shanahan or Sean McVay, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where it's all about misdirection and creativity and whatever. And I just feel like he would just, get in there and he manages that. I feel like he would be amazing.
So how is it different than what this coaching staff in Minnesota is doing with Mike Zimmer?
Well, because for starters, in terms of running, I mean, they really only have one type of running attack, which is just, really meat and potatoes right up the middle,
Mm-hmm.
inside the tackles, pound the rock. And then I just think the biggest thing overall is that there's not really anything very creative about this offense.
Mm-hmm.
It's just very, very bread and butter, pretty cut and dry. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like Kirk Cousins can't benefit from that.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Brandon, what are your
so
thoughts on the Vikings and their offense right now after 5 weeks?
The Vikings and their offense comes down to one person only, and that's Dalvin Cook.
yeah.
It's great when it works, but as me and my friends were talking about tonight, you can't run your guy. You can't run one running back 75% of the snaps
Mm-hmm.
in a half and not expect him to get hurt.
And they didn't do that against Houston. That was my problem. Last week against Houston, they didn't do that. Dalvin Cook didn't get hurt.
Because he
And they
does
still
get
won.
hurt a lot. And I think that's why,
But like here's the thing. Like that's the thing. Like you don't normally see a team get put like 75% of the snaps on one player.
Yeah.
And like you saw just how gutted they immediately were when you take Dalvin Cook out of the situation for that 1 8-minute gap where the Seahawks just grabbed the game, flipped it on its head, and said, "Our game now." 8 minutes. It took 8 minutes for the Seahawks to take the momentum, turn it on its head, score 14 points.
Yeah.
21.
21 points. Yeah, they scored all their points except for the end in that 8-minute period.
Mhm.
That's what makes the Seahawks so scary to me.
Even without a healthy defense.
Even without a healthy defense, you keep them in the game. You keep them within like reaching distance. It's like a boxer. They will find a way to KO you.
Floyd Mayweather style, like
Yeah,
science.
pretty much. Like
Well, if
UFC.
if it weren't for that interception too, I think it wouldn't have been as close as it was.
And I would argue that there should have been a flag thrown on that. Because if you watch, Carson gets pushed out
Right.
on his own volition. Like he got pushed out of bounds. That should have been something. So
Yeah, he does get pushed out of bounds, so that probably should have been a penalty. I will go to finish off this game. I will go back to one play, 4th and inches on the goal line. Minnesota's up 6, 5.
Yeah, they're up 6.
Kick the field.
So here's
Kick the field goal.
No, they were up 5.
No, they were.
Either way.
Yeah, they were up 5.
Here's what it was. They were up 26-21. So their thought process is, okay, if we kick a field goal, that still gives Russell Wilson 2 minutes to go down and get a touchdown and a 2-point conversion to tie it up.
But would you rather them tie it up and go into overtime than kick the field goal, maybe make a stop? Because you did get pressure on Russell Wilson a little bit for a good portion of that game.
Yeah, but if you get the touchdown, it's done.
Well, but the thing is, here's the thing though. Like, you go for it, and you're risking it all, and you're basically, if you don't get it, you see what happened. You see what happened tonight, where all Russell Wilson had to do is go all the way down the field, which is not hard for him. This was his 26th game-winning drive in his career in the fourth quarter. He goes all the way down the field, and all he has to do is put the ball in the end zone.
And he's got many receivers to do that, not just DK, but Tyler Lockett as well.
And they win by 1. They went for the 2, didn't get the 2. They still win by 1.
Mathematics, and I was talking about being a mathematician earlier. Mathematics are not the answer when you have a Russell Wilson, a prime Tom Brady, a Patrick Mahomes, even a Lamar Jackson in some cases. Aaron Rodgers. Math doesn't count.
You go for the position that'll put you the farthest ahead.
You go for the field goal. Math doesn't count when you play these 5 quarterbacks.
Because
that's simple.
Honestly, at the end of the day, it's about putting points on the board and getting yourself that much further ahead. It's like you shouldn't be playing games, because the fact is, like, I'm sorry, I'm at the point where I'm just gonna stop listening to people when they say we have a bad defense. We don't have an amazing defense, but we have a defense that gets the job done.
The word is middle of the road. And if they're healthy, top 10.
It gets the job done.
It does get the job done. No, it does.
They bend and don't break.
It's a perfect analogy. It's perfect.
Right. In the situations where they need to step up and get shit done, they step up and get shit done. Like, tonight, Cody Barton was the one who he went there. He slammed that ball back away from the goal, from the first down line. Fucking 4th and inches. No, thank you. So
You were talking about this with the Seahawks for the last 2 weeks. We watched them in primetime against the Patriots, and you said this, and I was like, I kind of see it, but not yet. This game showed it tonight. This game showed it. They're a bend but don't break defense. And is it wonderful to watch? No, it's at times really frustrating. But they do get the job done at the end of the day. And keep in mind, it's not healthy, as is most defenses in the NFL, as Shane and I talked about last week. When they're healthy, yikes.
We're getting Jamal Adams back.
Yikes.
And you also have to think about...
this bye comes at a great time for them.
You also have to think about the fact that we can talk about how gutted we got tonight on the running with our run defense. Guess who we're adding to our run defense? One of the best run defenders in the last couple of years, Snacks Harrison.
Who I don't know what his playing time is going to look like.
Even though we don't know what his play time will be, he will still make us better, because even if he doesn't play that much, he can still teach players. He can still be someone there to help the younger players get better. I personally think, yes, I was talking to my friends about tonight. We were all freaking out and be like, why does it always have to be like this? But then at the end of the day, it's like, this is why Seattle fans are the best fans, because Seattle fans go through all the craziness.
We should talk about earlier. Fan. Yeah.
So,
all things considered, though, the defensive line for Seattle, they didn't look terrible tonight. I mean,
no, they did not. No,
they got some pressure. Reed, he looks pretty solid.
Did y'all talk about Did you talk about KJ Wright turning into OBJ?
No, I did not, but that was cool.
That was awesome.
Also, can we talk about how many big hits our defense put on Minnesota tonight?
Yeah, there were some nasty hits.
They were destroying Minnesota. I laughed when they hit
95. Who is that?
Dude, I laughed at how hard they hit what's his name? The quarterback from Minnesota.
Kirk Cousins.
Dude, the first time he tried to run for it, and he just got absolutely speared.
Mm-hmm.
Got sandwiched.
Yeah. Let's move on to the Giants and the Cowboys. what is the Cowboys' outlook for 2020 with, let's say, Dak's out for the year?
I think he is.
If he's out for the
know.
year, let's say, for instance, he's out for the year.
If he's out for the year, they have no chance. I mean, Andy Dalton, he looked like a man just trying to finish the win. I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
He didn't look impressive.
Well, it's understandable. I mean, considering what had happened, and I mean, he just was kind of threw in, not really, you know.
Yeah, but
I think if
also
he has like a whole week of actual prep,
Yeah.
it would be different. But
I personally call
yeah.
Andy Dalton the definition of 8-8, which is just meh. He's the definition
Same in
of
Cincy,
8
basically.
and 8.
Same in Cincy.
You look at his track record in Cincinnati.
I mean, he went 12-4 one year and made the playoffs and
he
lost.
had a lot of winning seasons in Cincinnati.
No,
But
he had
he made the
lot of 8-8 seasons.
But hang on those winning seasons, he made the playoffs and lost.
Yeah, like
No, he never won a playoff game.
Yeah,
he's just kind of meh.
He made a Pro Bowl.
At least with Dak Prescott,
so did Mitch Trubisky.
I was gonna say because that means everything.
Yeah, at least with Dak, you can say like he has skills and like.
Yeah.
You know, I texted you guys earlier today, and I said I have a bit of a bold claim about the Cowboys.
Go ahead.
Okay. I'm going to say this on the record, October 11th, 2020. I think that was the last time we'll ever see Dak as a Cowboy.
I agree.
Yeah,
I really
agree
do.
with that.
And here's why. He was, first of all, he's probably going to be out for the year.
Yeah.
And he's playing on a $31 million franchise tag where he was actually trying to make like $40 million a year, which in hindsight now looks terrible considering the money that he got. That he was going to get.
There's a few things. For starters, we know that he is not exactly happy with the organization because he wants all this money and they aren't really having that. I think it's going to be hard for them to agree to a deal, especially if they want to keep all this talent around. Or it's not going to be hard to. They can't. It's just that simple. That's one issue. Second of all, it's considering his injury, it's a compound fracture of the ankle. Normally, a compound fracture takes 8 to 12 weeks to heal. And especially since it's on his lower body, on his ankle. I mean, and that's his plant foot as well. That's probably going to take a little longer to recover. So I think he's out for the year. I mean, there's no word on it yet, obviously, but
we'll get a word Monday morning, I would imagine.
Yeah, probably. And so that means Dalton is going to be the big man on campus in Dallas. And not that he's going to do great, but I feel like, you know, I think he will be fine. I mean, I think he's not great, no, but I think he's better than people give him credit for. I really do. And, you know, you look at him last year, he obviously regressed, but look at who was on his team and the lack of talent all around him. And, you know, you put him in this offense that has weapons everywhere. You give him a little more time to prep. I think he'll be okay, to be honest. And I think, you know, Dak will see that and not think, oh, he's going to replace me as a starter, but, you know, maybe they're looking to move on from me, whatever. So I think that was Dak's last game as a Cowboy.
So here are two things. Actually, more so three. One is if they let him go, they screwed up big time because Byron Jones is a Miami Dolphin when he could have been a Cowboy. That's number one. Byron Jones is so big for them. He's a huge part of that defense that it's honestly looked horrible this year. He would have looked a lot better with him in the lineup. Two is there's only at this point two good quarterbacks in this NFL draft class. Maybe Trey Lance is a guy we look at. He looked great in his one game that he played, but again,
Yeah,
it was
maybe. I think it's mostly Lawrence and Fields, though.
right. And well, I mean, again,
Anything.
and the biggest issue with this draft class is because how are they going to scout? How are they going to do
Mhm.
all of this with all the weekend schedules? They have to take that into
Right.
account.
Right.
If you're the Cowboys, like, man, the rough
I'd draft
position,
Lawrence. Try and get him somehow. I
try
don't
to
know.
trade up. I don't know.
There's no
I
way they're gonna get him.
no, but I think Fields is
I don't know.
actually a
Or
more
Fields.
realistic option.
Yeah, that could be.
If they're in a draft position where they can do that, cool. If they're not, they have a tough decision to make because they can go, okay, Dak, another franchise tag. Here's 40 million now for 1 year, which is basically what he's asking for.
At that point, I think you would just want a long-term deal.
I guess, yeah. But
know?
I mean, because keep in mind, I don't know how much it goes up. It might go up like to 35 and not 30. Like it's 31 now. It could be 35, but it does go up every year. You tie your quarterback, Kirk Cousins being that example. So maybe you do that. It's a rough spot because if you really feel like you got to get rid of Dak, then you get rid of him and you figure it out. But this team's at a spot where I'm sorry, based on this offense, based on the potential development on this defense, if they can actually get a top 5 quarterback or at least someone that has the potential to be that, they can win a Super Bowl. I'm honest. Jerry Jones is at a spot in
if they improve their defense a little bit, but yeah.
Right. But Jerry Jones is at a spot. I'm sorry, this is just the reality. Jerry Jones is at a spot in his tenure as the owner that he needs a Super Bowl. He's not going for divisional rounds or conference championships. He's going for a Super Bowl. And that's the attitude of McCarthy. That's the attitude of the entire organization.
But here's what you forget. McCarthy ain't going to be around next year.
He's not going to get fired.
McCarthy's not going to be around next year.
You really think he's going to get fired? I don't think so.
McCarthy's ass is
He should
going to get fired. And if he doesn't get fired, Robert, there's no fucking way, and I'm sorry that I'm like one F word for this show. There's no way that Dallas is about to win a Super Bowl.
I'm not saying that.
Okay, Robert, here's the problem with your logic. You say Jerry Jones believes that he's going for a Super Bowl, right?
As he should.
No, my friend. Jerry Jones is trying to milk as much money out of the Cowboys as he can. He's trying to take all the money out of the Cowboys because it is, after all, America's team, in air quotes. It is the team that draws the most views, the most eyeballs, the most attention, and he puts the sparkly players on the stand. Guess what? This man is a racist who does not care about his players. He doesn't care about the guys who go on his team. Unless they're white, then, they're probably...
I don't know about that. I'm not going to speak on that.
They're going to probably end up being someone he's buddy with. But the fact is, look, this man... No, I disagree. I 100% do not believe that the Cowboys team will get anywhere close to sniffing a Super Bowl. Needless to say, getting anywhere close to the playoffs in the next 6-7 years. They have players, but they don't have a team.
Here's what Shane, I'll let you kind of add to this, but
okay.
I'm not saying that they're a Super Bowl contender. I'm saying they have the potential to be, considering that offense, but they're not a Super Bowl contender. But Jerry Jones and Mike McCarthy's not going to get fired after 1 year. Jerry Jones loves that man. He loves him. He just does. He loves him. He's not going to get fired after 1 year. And I'll be honest, I think that would be a bit unfair if he gets fired for 1 year.
What do you mean?
I think he's actually the right coach for this team.
He's a terrible coach.
I think he's the right coach for this team.
He has so many pieces to work with, and he's not doing anything.
I think the defense is a huge problem, and he's more focused on the offense in some degree Kellen Moore, whatever. I think it's unfair. And if he does get fired, cool, he goes to the Jets, and then he'll make the Jets a better team. Anyway, Jerry Jones is at a spot, and he's been very clear about this for the last 3 years, at least for the 10-year Dak's been there. He wants a Super Bowl. He wants it. That's just the reality.
I mean, if he wants a Super Bowl, maybe he should have given Dak what he wanted.
I think they should have moved off him last year.
Dak was the best option they had.
Maybe. I'm not going to say that because they keep flip-flopping on that. Shane, your thoughts to sort of conclude this conversation about where the Cowboys are at.
So If I'm Jerry Jones, what do I do?
Let's say that. Yeah, that's a fair. Yep.
Okay. Okay. Here's what I do. Get rid of Mike McCarthy and Dak. Get Lincoln Riley or Urban Meyer as a coach.
That I'd be down for.
And then for quarterback, trade Dak for.
So pay him the franchise tag to trade him. Tag and trade.
Maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I'd trade him for Jimmy Garoppolo.
Okay. That's not bad.
Now, hear me out on this. Yeah.
It's not bad. It's not a bad plan. It's not bad.
I think Dak would work really well in San Francisco. And I think that Jimmy, when he has those kinds of weapons, he can be very, very effective. I mean, he's pretty clutch. You know, when he starts, when he's healthy and he's 100%, he wins. He just does. And so, for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, I mean, you look at the Cowboys, you look at the 49ers offense, and they lost quite a few people in the offseason, and then, of course, with free agency. But I think if he was in a place like Dallas where he could just do his thing and be clutch with what they have there, that would be a very dangerous offense. In my opinion.
Why would Jimmy G work in Dallas?
Well, because, like I said, he's very clutch. I mean, he has a very high win percentage as a starter,
Mm-hmm.
you know, when he's healthy. And especially if their O-line is healthy, they're still pretty good
Mm-hmm.
in Dallas.
Yep.
And that would work really well for him. I mean, you could just, you know, I mean, we got little glimpses of what Jimmy could be as a passer and last year. And I think if you give him Cooper, CeeDee Lamb, Gallup,
Cedric Wilson,
dude would have a
Dalton
field day.
Schultz. Yep.
And
Zeke as well.
Zeke on top of all of that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then to finish it up, you know, Dak on the Niners, again, you kind of go back to Kyle Shanahan and his offense.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because I think that because I said that Kirk Cousins would work really well, in my opinion, like in a Sean McVay or Kyle Shanahan offense. To me, Kirk Cousins and Dak Prescott are basically the same thing, except Dak is a little more athletic. So
Yeah.
I think they would both work really well in either of those offenses.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Let's go to the Niners. You guys can have some fun with this. Brandon, I'll go with you first. The Dolphins with a 43-17 win over the San Francisco 49ers, by which CJ Beathard played the second half due to the fact that they wanted to protect Jimmy Garoppolo because he still looked pretty unhealthy in that first half. Brandon, go ahead.
Yeah, man, if I'm a 49ers fan right now, I'm thinking, what the hell did I just watch? I mean,
True. I was thinking that too, and I'm not even a Niners fan.
I had to just like do a double take. I went back and I looked at what the Seahawks score was at halftime. It was something like 17-9, I think.
Mm-hmm. Seahawks Dolphins last week, yeah.
The Dolphins 49ers, it was like 30-3 at halftime. So, I mean, I'm very curious, 49ers fans. What's up? What's the deal? Que pasa? Put it another way. Y'all sucked. And I don't want to hear like, oh no, our defense is hurt, or oh no,
we're filled with
Seahawks
injuries.
the Seahawks are filled with injuries, and we didn't get our asses handed to us by the Dolphins. We actually beat the Dolphins, who, by the way, are a much better team than people give credit for this year.
Ryan Fitzpatrick needs to start for the rest of 2020. Stop
also,
with Tua. Stop with Tua.
Robert, guess what? Robert? Who is the one out of the three of us here?
Four with Jackson.
Four of us who actually praised Fitzmagic. I got nothing but ostracized for my love of Fitzmagic.
No. I don't.
No, Shane. You ostracized me.
No, let me just say, I don't think he's bad. I criticize you because I thought that was too high to get him.
Sure.
So he was what, the 7th overall pick in our draft? 6th?
No, see, if you went like 17th, I would get that. But
something in him, and y'all just are haters. But anyway, Fitzmagic, dude's going off. Like, I'm sorry, but what's great about this for me is it's gonna be two benefits for both parties, right? One, Dolphins get a quarterback who can actually lead them this year, right?
And Tua's gonna come back in 2021 and kill.
And Tua's gonna come back in 2021 and kill. And if Fitzmagic actually wants a job, I'm sure there's some team that'll pick him up as a starter.
Yep, that's true. That's true. That's what it is.
It works both ways. Like,
it's a beautiful pairing. Tua having a year off is perfect. It's great.
Myles Gaskin popping off, getting
winner of that trade. Let's get it. Yo, I traded for him last week. What
about our new crazy trade?
We will get to that trade in a little.
Yeah, so
we made it, Brandon. We made another trade that I don't think you'll like.
I saw it.
You saw it.
It's stupid.
All right, we'll get to it in a bit.
But yeah, I don't know, man. Like we have a great Sunday night football game next week, which is great for Seahawks fans because we just gonna sit there and rest up our
Rams,
team while we
Niners.
watch Rams and Niners fight each other.
Oh my God, Beathard's probably gonna play too.
It's just gonna be a cluster. Like it's gonna be a mess. But yeah, this game, I watched the first half of it, and then I had to go to my friend's house, and we were like watching the like ticker at the bottom when we were watching the end of the Giants Cowboys game, and we were just shocked. We were like, "Are you kidding me?"
Yeah. If Beathard plays next week, yikes. 2 Niners games Sunday Night Football with backup quarterbacks. Yikes.
What about Mullins?
They like Beathard more. They bench Mullins on that game against the Eagles.
I like Mullins more personally.
I would agree with that. Raiders and the Chiefs. Shane, you have the floor for this one as we continue to talk about. Derek Carr is the right quarterback for this Vegas team.
I know, dude. He's he's good. It's no secret. Have been a bit high on Derek Carr compared to most people, but I think people are starting to see why now that he, actually has some weapons on offense, and I think that I think Vegas needs a. Wow, I said Vegas by habit. This is great. I think they need. I think they need to have a bit more consistency on offense. Because it seems like they kind of come in spurts. Some games they're really good. Some games it kind of, you know what I mean. And but I think they've had a couple good games in a row now. I think they just need to clean up their defense a bit, and this could be a very competitive team.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, it's tricky with Kansas City in their own division, but definitely a good wild card team going forward, I think.
Brandon, are the Raiders now a team to watch out for in this division?
So I don't really love when people go like, "Oh, this team got a huge win. Like, let's like automatically say like they're the team to watch out for in a division." I think they make it they make it really interesting for the Chiefs.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're really the only threat to the Chiefs in their division.
Chargers, maybe, but
maybe I don't think so. I think it's really the Chiefs and the Raiders, and to be frank, up until today, I thought it was just the Chiefs were just going to run away with it, but Chiefs are looking a little concerning.
Defensively, it's been a little rough.
They're not really. I mean, also on offense, they're not really putting up the mega numbers. And I think we talked about this after the first game of the year, on our first edition of the Sunday post show.
The Thursday special.
The Thursday special, where I said that I believe we're not going to see the Chiefs put up the same amount of like 30 plus touchdown, 30 plus point games, which is turning out to be true. We're seeing more like 25
Brandon,
to 30.
Are you a fortune teller?
I might be.
But again,
or I might just be really good at figuring things out.
I mean, look, I think it's obvious that there's a natural regression. Yeah, there's stuff that is concerning, but Chiefs are the number one team in the league for me right now. Still, I think they still are the number one team in this league. I think Mahomes is too special. I think this defense, it's rocky, but it will get better over time. And we've said in past weeks that this defense has been impressive, like the Ravens. They're still the number one team right now, and the Ravens are a bit behind them right now.
I think
for me.
I think there's one, maybe two teams. Well, no, I said there's one team I put ahead of the Chiefs right now.
Which is?
Buffalo.
So is Buffalo your number one team?
Right now? Yeah. And then for me, Kansas City and Green Bay are like second and third kind of.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'd say Baltimore is fourth, and then Seattle fifth probably.
Buffalo will most likely play on Tuesday. Let's dig deeper on this a little bit.
Sure.
Of course, the Bills' defense are, trying to get healthier at this time, and Josh Allen has definitely put up MVP type numbers. Although I still think Russell has it at this point.
No, I'd agree with that.
Why is Buffalo your number one team 5 weeks into the season?
Well, that could change after Tuesday if they play. But I just look at them and they have week 2 they struggled a bit. Week 3 same thing, they kind of struggled early on. But no matter what situation they're in, they find a way to bounce back and always win pretty convincingly. And they've played the Rams, Raiders, two teams that have been pretty good so far. And I think especially if they win, not tomorrow, but on Tuesday,
if we have the game, of course.
If we have the game, I think they will definitely. Like right now, the Bills are kind of like a timid number one. Like I'm not totally sure, but if they win on Tuesday, I think they will definitely be my number one. No questions.
I will say really quickly
about it.
With the Rams, I'm really impressed with their offense right now with LA, and I think that's kind of the main thing. But again, they played Washington this week. I want to move on to the Falcons. Dan Quinn, their head coach, and Thomas Dimitroff, their GM, have both been fired. Brandon, your reaction? Do you think that Thomas Dimitroff should have been fired? Because I thought Dan Quinn should have been fired, but not Dimitroff. Do you have that same opinion?
I think he should have been fired because, to be honest, part of a successful team is coach and GM working together, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't think Dimitroff was bringing in the best players he could have. And I just feel like he wasn't part of being president, also part of being the coach and part of being the GM is that you have to work together, and the GM should be bringing in players that fit the system the coach is trying to put together. Like, for example, you look at the Seahawks, and one of the reasons why you have such a, like, no matter who comes in and out of the doors, they're always usually someone who fits the system.
Mm-hmm.
the type of mentality, the type of like next guy up that Pete Carroll's going for. So I think he had enough time, and I also think that Arthur Blank was kind of saying, "All right, cut the cord, everybody out."
Mm-hmm. Which you should have done in the offseason.
I would not be surprised if after this season we see a bunch of veterans get their walking papers.
Mm-hmm. Shane, your thoughts on, of course, Dan Quinn getting fired, which we knew was going to happen at some point. But Dimitrov, I think, again, for me, was the biggest surprise. Your thoughts on Dimitrov's firing more specifically?
Yeah, that one was interesting to me because I felt like he wasn't really the issue there, because, in terms of their personnel, or their players, their players aren't, they still have pretty decent talent, all things considered. They've taken a step back, of course, but, I think it was really Dan Quinn more than anything that was holding them back. And, because you look at this team and, they almost won that Super Bowl, 3 years ago. And then ever since then, they've just slowly kind of gotten worse and worse, even though the players haven't changed that drastically each offseason. And so, either it's it's one of two things. Either Dan Quinn is just not doing a good job, or the team was enhanced by Kyle Shanahan that year, which that could be the case. And he
See that a little bit less likely. Sorry to interrupt, but I
no, that's fine. But I mean, it's possible that he just made everything look better, which, I mean, I doubt that, but that's possible.
I have a hard time with the veterans getting the walking papers. Mainly Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan is not a bad quarterback.
Yes, he is.
No, he's not. No, he's not.
He used to be good, but he's not good anymore.
It's hard for me, particularly with this contract, particularly with, I don't know. I feel like he's the right guy. I just think Dimitrov was weird because I think Dimitrov did a good job with this organization, all things considered. But Dan Quinn being gone, like, I'm sorry, this job can be really coveted because if I was a head coach, I would want to go to this team because you got a quarterback, you got Julio, you got Calvin Ridley, you got pretty good tight end group with Hayden Hurst, so the offense is pretty set. Offensive line is not terrible. You just got to fix that defense.
Yeah.
And if you do, and you kind of figure out how to sort of deal with this offense, and kind of make it the gears turning, Todd Gurley potentially, but I love this job. If I was a head coach, I really do. I love it, and I think it's someone's going to go there and make that team 20 times better, if not more.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see what happens with that team going forward.
Mm-hmm.
Because I agree with you. I mean, in my opinion, Matt Ryan's the top 12 quarterback in the NFL, probably.
Mm-hmm.
Just give him the right scheme, I think he would be a lot more effective, as we saw that 1 year. So.
Yeah. Brandon, I'll ask you this question. We're gonna go through a couple more games before we get to the trade. The Steelers are at 4-0. Are they a Super Bowl contender right now?
I mean, I think you kind of have to assume that any team that's undefeated right now is a Super Bowl contender.
Mm-hmm.
I would say a hesitant yes.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're showing some good things, but at the same time, I think they've also they need to kind of show me a little bit more. But
Mm-hmm.
they're looking really good, in my opinion.
Yeah. Shane, Super Bowl contender for the Steelers. Are they back to sort of their dynasty self or no?
Short answer is yes. I think they are a Super Bowl contender right now. There are two problems, though, for starters. Baltimore and Cleveland, they're both 4-1. So that's a challenge. Got a hard division. And the other challenge is I'm not worried about the defense really. But offensively, I do worry about injuries. Because look at last year. You know what I mean? So I do, because Roethlisberger, he's getting older. He's certainly not how he used to be. So that does worry me. But as of right now, if they're able to continue like this, yeah, I think they're absolutely, if not a Super Bowl contender, at least a legitimate playoff contender for sure.
And then finally, before I ask Shane a fun question here, I'm going to talk about the Colts. I'm really frustrated with the Colts right now. Mainly, and this is something they talked about on the broadcast of that game. Phillip Rivers, please throw the ball deeper. Please. You're playing a defense that is abysmal at best. Throw the ball down the field, please. It's that simple when you're playing this defense. The Colts probably should have won this game. Yeah, the Colts defense didn't play that tremendous. But at the same time, I'm going to say the same thing they said on the broadcast. Throw the ball. Get T.Y. Hilton involved more. It really is that simple, at least when you're playing this Browns team. Get the ball down the field. Now, I understand. We've talked about this before. It's clear that Rivers has regressed. He can't throw the ball as well as he did before, but come on. I got to see something here. Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong. And I think this game told us, at least told me something, that the Colts are not, they're decent, but I don't think they're as good as we thought they were.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason is because now that I look back at the games that they won, they had some really easy opponents that they all beat. You know what I mean? And then you put them up against a team that's even half decent in Cleveland, and they struggle.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is what's going to happen as the season goes along, especially once you get them playing like Tennessee, which is going to happen twice.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? That worries me. I think, honestly, at this point, after seeing that, I think they're kind of like a Cowboys or a Browns, a decent team that can beat bad teams, but not necessarily good ones. Or not always, So.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then finally, Shane, Joe Flacco's performance today.
Oh, dude, it was. Look at this guy. He 195 yards, about a 50% completion rate, and did he have a touchdown as well?
He may have. I don't remember.
Yeah, he might have had one, but that guy's proving why he's just the greatest quarterback ever. Okay, that is to go into this Jets organization, okay, and get this horrible team, okay, come off the bench and go out and do that. That's an amazing performance. 195 yards. That's incredible. And he just went out there and okay, I can't even do this with a straight face. Oh my
the
God.
running joke continues. And then finally, Brandon, I'll ask you about my 2020 love affair with the Arizona Cardinals. Do you feel like it's warranted after this game? No, why?
I mean, I assume you have two eyeballs.
Yes.
I mean, they bad. They ain't good.
That
I
defense
think
is
they're
rough.
okay.
That defense is rough.
I mean, the offense hasn't been doing themselves any favors.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, they won, but like, I don't know.
Yeah. I here's my thing with the Cardinals. Again, defense has to get healthier, but I'm not in the same spot I was now. Like I'm willing to admit that. Kyler's played fine. I'm not tripping about Kyler. I'm not tripping about Kenyon Drake not playing at a high level. Hopkins been excellent. Let's see more receiver production really. Christian Kirk, Larry Fitzgerald. We haven't really gotten a lot from them. I think that's a huge thing with this offense, but the defense is a rough spot. It seems like I overvalued them a bit, but only time will tell. But at this point, I feel like I did. And then finally, Michael Thomas. Him with CJ Gardner-Johnson, with that altercation of him punching him and being suspended for this game. Nothing to do with the injury. Before we get to the trade, which includes Michael Thomas, Brandon, I'll go to you. Your thoughts on the altercation?
Michael Thomas punching a guy. I know he punched a guy, but I haven't heard like that
Details.
much. I haven't read that much into it.
Mm-hmm. That's kind of the main information, is that he's suspended.
Well, I know some people were saying like, oh, the other guy should be suspended, but like,
I don't think so. No.
I mean, if Michael Thomas straight up punched a teammate, yeah, this dude needs to sit his ass on the bench.
Yeah, I think it's the right call to suspend him.
Yeah.
You're sending a bad message if you don't.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Just let him get off with a slap of a wrist, and that's that.
Just because he's the best player or something.
In saying that, I traded for Michael Thomas. So here is the trade. If you guys can see, that is a bit glitchy right now for some reason. So the trade is Justin Jackson, Michael Thomas. I get those two, and then I send Shane, Julio Jones, and Chase Edmonds. Your thoughts on this early buster that we made?
Did Robert cut out?
I think I might have.
Yeah.
I think I might have.
What were you saying?
Oh, you're back.
Yeah, sorry. It is a bit glitchy as we're hitting up them. No, but what did you think of the trade, Brandon?
As long as you two are happy,
Nope. Honest opinion, not as long as we're happy. Honest opinion of the trade.
Honestly, I think Shane got a little fleeced because, like,
Shane got fleeced?
Yeah, I personally think Shane got fleeced because you get rid of Julio, that man is not going to play for a while, I feel like.
I don't think so. I don't agree with that.
I just don't think. He's not going to be healthy, dude. He just, I don't know.
Even if that's the case, I don't really need a receiver that badly.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I got Diggs and Allen, who are both.
You just need the running back?
Excellent. I just need a running back, and Chase Edmonds put up 20 points, so.
And he'll be pretty nice as a flex option, maybe an RB2 level player.
So now, Brandon, there gets to be a team in your division who has McCaffrey, Amari Cooper, and Michael Thomas. Have fun.
And Kyler Murray. And Kyler Murray. So. Well,
I don't really give a shit because I'm nowhere close to contention. So what do you fucking do?
I will admit that your team has been
and you're not getting any of my players.
Oh, I want Austin Eckler. Can we talk?
Oh,
I'm kidding. I don't want him. I don't want him.
Shit. Yeah, I'm changing.
I'll trade you back Amari Cooper.
Honestly, I'm gonna try and find a way to change my team name to like the Valley of Death, because at this point, that's basically what it is. It's like,
oh my god,
players enter my team and they immediately get hurt.
Mm-hmm. Actually, since we have a few more minutes before we hit the midnight hour. I have a bubble proposal for the NFL with the
Okay.
COVID outbreak. Why don't we just do a Florida bubble where we have Jacksonville, Miami, and Tampa, where the Super Bowl is going to be held, and just do a Florida style bubble with those 3 stadiums? Do you guys agree?
Nobody wants to go because nobody's gonna want to go to Florida, and they're gonna call bullshit. They're gonna say it's not fair that you're hosting.
Yet another bubble.
You don't, So you don't think that's feasible for the players?
I mean, I would be okay with that, but
I mean, I think it makes sense, but like players are gonna be like, "Fuck no."
Yeah, I think you're probably right. I think the Players Association are not gonna want to do that.
yeah, like hold the AFC in Tampa and then the
Well, I'm just
NFC
saying
in-
mix it up, because remember there's going to be 3 games on Saturday, 3 games on Sunday for the wild cards. So just
Oh, that's
shift-
true.
shift them around. So that's why I'm saying Jacksonville, Miami, Tampa, and just have them play in those 3 cities and like have them shift around too, because it's a huge city, Florida. You can have them sort of shift around a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think that would be a bad idea, but I don't know if it would happen.
I think Brandon's right. I think the Players Association would not be fond of that.
Yeah.
But we'll see what time, of course.
Yeah.
All right, and that is it for today. Thank you, Shane. Thank you, Brandon, for a great show. As always, we'll be back on Friday for our weekly show, and then back again on Sunday, next Sunday for our normal post show. So thank you guys again, and have a great rest of your night, because this is the latest we've ever recorded. It is 11:52 p.m. So pretty cool stuff. Thank you guys again, and we will see you all on Friday.
And tune into the Midnight Hour with Shane Hansen.
Yeah, pretty much. That's basically what this is. All right. We will see you guys later on.